What would you do if you found an abandoned baby in your car after a ride? This is the true story of Carlos Silva, an Uber driver from Sao Paulo, whose life was completely transformed by a discovery he never imagined. If you enjoy true stories that will move you, leave a like now. Welcome to our channel, where we share the most incredible real-life stories. Today you'll discover how a simple noise in the backseat revealed something that forever changed the lives of a man and his family. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of these movie-like stories. Carlos Silva was 35 years old and had been driving for Uber for 2 years. After losing his job at the factory, he needed to find a way to support his wife, Marina, and their 6-year-old daughter, Julia. Carlos had always been a devoted father, and seeing his daughter ask why he left home so often to work broke his heart. That Thursday, in September, at 11 o'clock at night, Carlos was making his last runs of the day in the Vila Madalena area. Business was good, and he had already earned a reasonable amount to help pay his household bills. His goal was to always complete at least 8 runs a day. The last call of the night came at 11:40. A young woman in her 20s needed to travel from Vila Madalena to a distant neighborhood in the East Zone. She got into the car carrying only a small bag and seemed very nervous. During the entire hour-long trip, the passenger remained completely silent. Carlos tried to start a conversation a few times, but she only responded with yes or no. He noticed in the rearview mirror that she was crying softly and holding her stomach as if in pain. When they reached their destination, she quickly got out, thanked him, and disappeared into the darkness of a dimly lit street. Carlos thought it was strange, but decided to go home. It was almost 1 in the morning, and Marina must have been worried. It was while he was stopped at a traffic light that he heard it. A low, almost imperceptible noise coming from the back seat. It was like a muffled, very faint whimper. Carlos thought it might be his cell phone or the car radio. But the little noise continued. It was a sound he knew very well, having heard it when Julia was a baby. It was a newborn's cry. Carlos stopped the car immediately and turned on the interior light. He looked in the back seat and saw nothing. But the crying continued. That's when he decided to look under the seat. There, wrapped in a pink blanket, was a baby. A newborn girl who couldn't have been more than a few days old. She was hungry, crying softly, but appeared healthy. Carlos was in complete shock. His hands trembled as he picked up the child. Along with the baby was a handwritten note that simply said, "Please take care of her. I can't. Her name is Sofia." At that moment, Carlos understood everything. The passenger wasn't having a stomach ache. She had just given birth and had left the baby in his car. But what happened next will shock you even more. Carlos called Marina immediately. Imagine her reaction when her husband told her he was coming home with a baby. Marina thought he was joking until she heard the baby crying over the phone. When Carlos arrived home, Marina had already prepared a bottle with leftover powdered milk from when Julia was little. Julia woke up to the movement and was delighted to see the baby. Carlos knew he needed to call the police and the appropriate authorities. But when he saw his family caring for that child, when he saw Julia's affection for the little sister she'd always asked for, he knew it was no coincidence. The next morning, Carlos went to Child Protective Services and told them the whole story. He and Marina offered to care for Sofia while authorities searched for her biological mother. The search lasted 3 months. The police were never able to find the young woman who had abandoned the baby. Sofia remained in the care of Carlos and Marina throughout this period. It was the happiest period in the Silva family's life. Julia became a loving and responsible older sister. Marina found fulfillment in caring for a baby again. And Carlos discovered that becoming a father for the second time at 35 was even more special. When the legal deadline passed and no relatives of Sofia's came forward, Charles and Marina were able to begin the adoption process. 9 months after that September night, Sofia officially became Sofia Silva. Today, 2 years later, Sofia is 2.5 years old and a healthy, happy child. She calls Carlos daddy and Marina mommy. Julia is the proudest sister in the world, and always tells her school friends how her little sister came to be with them. Carlos still works as an Uber driver, but now with a different purpose. He says every ride can be an opportunity to help someone, and he's always on the lookout for passengers who need assistance. The Silva family grew from 3 to 4 members, and everyone says Sofia filled a void they never knew existed. Carlos always says that Thursday night changed his life for the better. This story shows us how sometimes fate puts the right people in the right place at the right time. Carlos could have handed Sofia over to the authorities and moved on. But he chose to open his heart and his home to a child in need of love. If this story touched your heart like it did mine, please leave a like so more people can discover it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Because every week we bring you real stories that will make you believe in the goodness of people. What would you do if you found an abandoned baby? Have you ever experienced a situation that completely changed your life? Tell me in the comments. I read them all and love hearing your stories. Until the next story.